Testing. Alright, let's just dive in. It's a beautiful day. I'm about to go on a walk again. And let's chat. Shall we? Today, all my problems are connected.
Hey friends, so in this video I'm going to talk about perfectionism. Last night I couldn't sleep until 5:30 a.m. So I got my phone and I was tweeting. Decided to tweet to think my way through my problem. And I was like, why am I not sleeping? And the thing that was on my mind was my book that I'm working on. Why is it on my mind? Because I haven't shipped it yet. I haven't published it yet. Why have I not published it yet? Because I feel like there's something missing. There's something that needs to be in the book that's not in it, right? So I can't simply. I've done.
This was 7 months ago. So are you talking about which book? Are you talking about? I don't even know. Is it just Friendly Ambitious Nerd?
And multiple rounds of editing, I have, made sure that every part of the book that exists is pretty good. And I mean, there's some imperfections here and there, but I can correct all of those things. The thing that's bothering me is that there's something that's missing from the book that should be in it that I have not put in it yet. And so I'm like, okay, let's try and figure out what this is.
Internet froze. It seems to always happen right here on my walk. I'm just gonna say, I don't think that tweeting and being on Twitter is helping you go to sleep. That's like the most stimulating thing that I can do if I'm in bed. Well, not.
And it's so meta and recursive. I realized that the issue is related to my sleep. And I was like going back and looking at my old tweets. I've been tweeting for years. I have tweets from like 2012, 2013, 2014 about how I'm struggling to sleep. And in 2018, on my 28th birthday or so, or maybe a while later, I was tweeting about how I feel. I was just thinking about, okay, I'm approaching 28, I'm going to be 30 soon. How do I have a good life in my 30s? And I was thinking, the main things limiting me are my lack of good sleeping habits, or my lack of good sleep, and my lack of like a daily routine / schedule / daily review process of some kind, right? Because I just freestyle every day. That's how I live my life. I freestyle. I do whatever I feel like doing, which sounds cool, right? It sounds cool when you say it like that, but in practice, it mostly just means that I revert to the most numbing, boring, bad habits. I'm scrolling through Twitter, doing nothing a lot of the day. That's a lot of my day, every day. It doesn't have to be that way. I could be doing more deliberately interesting things. I could be making more videos. A video is something that doesn't happen by accident. I have to sit in my chair and pick up my phone and decide to start recording and think a little bit about what I'm going to talk about. And then now I'm finding that once I get started, I can keep going. But it does require a little bit more activation energy. And so I need to get better. I would like to get better at having that activation energy thing. And the thing is, I've had this thought multiple times over the years. So it's not a new idea. It's not a new problem. I've been struggling with some version of these problems for over 15 years. And
I'm reminded of the one you did, where you said it's okay to repeat yourself. And you definitely weren't talking about this, but I see some similarities, huh?
And, in 2017, I tweeted something like, I was replying to Ramit on Twitter. I tweeted something like, his tweet was something about, just do the thing, do the important thing that you know you need to do. And I was like, I have been spending 3 to 4 years trying to fix my sleep and trying to do daily reviews, and I have not made a dent in either of those things. Face palm, that's what I tweeted. And it just kept going. like my life kept going, right? And in 2020 or 2019 or so, I saw a tweet from my friend Michael Story. This excellent tweet. He said, sometimes you see a problem and it looks like it has a really simple solution, and you think, why isn't that person solving that extremely easy problem? And he said, what I've come to realize is that if there's a problem with a very easy solution that isn't being solved, it's because there's some deeper dysfunction that's stopping the solution from happening, right? And so around 2020, I think I began to internalize this idea that if something simple is not being done, it's because there's some dysfunction stopping it from being done, and it's usually not obvious, right? It's not on the surface level. And so we get to my sleep and we get to my daily routines. And my book, right? So these are the three things that I'm thinking about. For me to sleep well, and I think they're all connected. I think to sleep well, I need to spend my days well. Like, for me, for some reason, that's kind of non-negotiable, it seems to me. I do believe it's possible for some people to, so-called waste their day frivolously. I mean, I do it all the time. Spend a day frivolously and then happily go to bed and be fine with it. I believe that it could be possible for me to become such a person. I'm like that on vacation. I'm like that when I take a day off and I sleep in a hotel room, right? Like I did that with my wife recently, and this was wonderful. I sleep beautifully on holidays because I no longer have that gnawing expectation at the back of my mind, and it's very soft. That's the crazy thing. It doesn't like crush me with expectations. It's just in the back of my mind. It's like, you haven't done anything yet. You haven't written anything yet. You haven't. It's just quiet. It's soft, but it doesn't let me sleep, right? So when my mind grips onto something, it really grips with like an animal intensity that can be quite scary for me to witness. And so what I believe is
Visa's inner beast.
That to fix my sleep, I have to fix my daily routines. And to fix my daily routines, it has to do with planning and calendaring and schedules, which goes back to like childhood trauma with regards to school and timetables and that sort of thing. Because I associated those things with pain. I've been talking about this for years. I've been talking about like probably 10 years of I don't like schedules. Schedules make me uncomfortable. Calendars make me uncomfortable. I don't like commitments. I don't like obligations. And this bad and stuff, it's icky and gross for me. I can't handle it. Please take it away from me. That's how I have been. And my book is called Introspect, and it's about digging into your fields, right? Digging into the painful and difficult parts of yourself, the trauma and all that shit. And that's the thing that I need to do in order to publish my book. Like, in my head, that's the logic. And I think it's important that I work with my internal logic on this. There's a certain something to it that I have to do. And I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna try to fix my daily writing habit, and I bet it's gonna fix my sleep. I bet making this video is gonna help me sleep better at night later. And yeah, so I'll see how it goes. So if I'm doing it right, you'll see me upload a video every day. All right, keep me to it.
Okay. That was not really what I was expecting. I don't know. I don't want to say too much because I'm pretty sure later on you did a whole video on like revenge bedtime procrastination, right? Either you did or I'm putting Michael Ashcroft's words in your mouth, but yeah, and I know that you've done some videos recently on sleeping, so I'm not going to say much about sleep. But yeah, it's a funny thing. You obviously are aware of it, but just since I mentioned that other video where you talk about it's okay to repeat yourself, this video, the things you said in this were such perfect and clear examples of things that you've been repeating over and over and over again, and that you're aware of repeating. Such as sleep being a problem for you, such as hating schedules. So, and I forgot that the other book was Introspect. So, yeah, you you know all this stuff. But as far as all problems being connected, maybe just the last thing I'll throw in is I was chatting with a friend yesterday, and he told me a story he'd heard from someone else who at one time in their life had to go to, I guess, like rehab, or had to go to like a psychiatry of some sort, and they were battling alcohol problems, drinking problems, and anorexia at the time. And the interesting thing about the story, though, was that the way the system worked, the way that people are taken in to facilities like that, which was that this person could only be checked in for either alcoholism or anorexia, but not both, because of liabilities on the side of the treatment center. And it's like, oh, so we're going to just treat alcoholism, or we're going to treat anorexia as if it has nothing to do with the other thing at all, and we're going to do them completely separately, and hopefully we'll try to reduce your symptoms, hopefully we'll try to get you drinking less, or hopefully we'll get your weight back up, without addressing the other thing, or without thinking that, maybe both of those things are symptoms of the same shit going on emotionally. So to me, it was just a classic or perfect example of an arena where people don't see problems as being interconnected, and they divide them too much from each other. And I realize clearly not everyone agrees that all that stuff is connected, since that's how that kind of thing is run. But actually, I'm reminded now I'm reading a book right now on trauma by this psychiatrist who is fucking amazing. His name's Paul Conti. I'll put my notes together on it when I'm done and share them on Twitter. But the really fascinating thing, especially from him as a psychiatrist, was that he said he really made a point to emphasize that the stated cause of death, so if we're looking at medical records or whatever, medical data, the stated cause of death, died in a car crash, died of an OD, liver failure from drinking, all these things, cancer even. Those things are usually never, in his opinion, the real cause of death. Yes, that's the thing that ultimately was going on when they died, but the real cause of death, in his opinion, as a practicing psychiatrist for 3 decades or whatever, is way, way, way in the past from any of those particular instances. The real cause of death is fucking various traumas. Being sexually abused as a kid, or having a parent die, or being mistreated by parents in various ways, all sorts of various things, and how it's those experiences and the unprocessed, lingering traumas of that, which then lead one into a life full of behaviors which end up being fatal. Being driven to seek out high intensity experiences that that block out and overwhelm the pain that you would otherwise feel, you know, like risky driving, drugs, like hyperactivity around sex, all these things, you know, it's a way to take yourself away from what you might feel just sitting alone by yourself, which is like miserable, and all the shit emotions and thoughts that might come to you, you know. And so just to say that these problems, like, let's say we're just talking about ODs or drunk driving deaths. Like, you could look and be like, oh wow, the number of drunk driving deaths, which I actually saw on the Twitter, like, what's happening recently. It was like, oh, the number of deaths due to drunk driving in Los Angeles have been rising over the last couple of years. You know, and you could look at that myopically and be like, oh, what's the problem? Like, is there something going on with, like, too many cars on the road or something like that? But if you, like, dig deeper and be like, oh shit, this is connected to all the other fucking problems that people are dealing with. I'm just riffing. I think my point is made. This was a short one. Maybe I'll stop here. Done.